There is a woman named Carol. She works at a dental office in Columbus, Ohio. Not a dentist, the front desk. She makes $47,000 a year before taxes. Drives a 2016 Honda Fit with a crack on the dashboard she stopped noticing 3 years ago. And every second Friday, she transfers $200 into a brokerage account she opened at 11:30 at night after watching a video she no longer remembers. She has $4,200 in that account right now. She has never told anyone about it. Not her sister, not her coworker who talks about crypto every Monday morning. Not even the man she has been dating for 8 months. She checks it on her lunch break sometimes, sitting alone in her car in the parking garage, phone angled so no one walking by can see the screen. That is not a sad story. That is actually one of the most rational things a person can do with a small amount of money in 2026. What Carol has built, quietly, without a financial planner or a spreadsheet obsession, is the beginning of something that most Americans with far more money than her will never figure out. And what I want to show you today is exactly how she is thinking about it, or rather, how she should be. Because there is a specific architecture to a dividend portfolio under $5,000 that most people get completely wrong. Not because they are not trying, but because almost everything you have been told about building income from a small account was designed for someone else's situation. And if you apply the wrong structure to your first $5,000, you do not just slow yourself down. You train yourself into habits that will cost you when the number grows to $50,000. My name is John. I have been studying how ordinary people build financial independence through dividend investing for years. And I do not have a course to sell you. I do not manage anyone's money. What I do is pay attention to what actually works for people starting exactly where you are right now. If this kind of thinking is useful to you, hit subscribe. It helps more than you know, and it costs you nothing. Now, let's talk about what Carol is actually doing with her $4,200. And more importantly, what she should add before her next $200 transfer hits. Most people who open a brokerage account with under $5,000 make the same first mistake. They treat the account like a lottery ticket with better odds. They look at dividend yields the way they look at interest rates on a savings account. They see a stock paying 6% and they think, that's better than my bank. And technically, they are not wrong. But they are thinking about it from the wrong angle entirely. Here is the real question you should be asking before you build anything. What is this portfolio actually for? Not in the abstract financial freedom sense, in the operational sense. Is this money meant to generate income you will use in the next 3 years? Is it meant to compound silently for 20 years and become something your future self inherits? Or is it a middle option, something building slowly now that you might begin pulling from in a decade? The answer to that question changes everything about how you structure the account. And most people skip it entirely. They just buy whatever has a good yield this month and hope it sorts itself out. It does not sort itself out. I want to walk you through the 3-part structure that actually works for accounts under $5,000, not as a checklist, as a logic, a sequence of decisions that build on each other the way floors build a building. Get the foundation wrong, and everything above it is fragile, regardless of how carefully you laid the second floor. The first layer is stability. And I want to say something about stability that might surprise you. Stability is not boring. Stability is the most aggressive thing you can do with a small account. Here is why. When you have $50,000 in a dividend portfolio, a 10% drawdown hurts. When you have $4,000 in the dividend portfolio, a 10% drawdown can break your behavior. I am not talking about the money. I am talking about what happens inside you when you watch $400 disappear in a week, and you are looking at that account on your lunch break trying to figure out if you made a mistake. Vanguard published research in 2023 showing that retail investors who experience significant early losses are substantially more likely to abandon long-term investment plans entirely, even after the portfolio recovers. What that means in plain language? The math recovers. The person does not always. So the foundation of a sub-$5,000 dividend portfolio is not about yield. It is about building the kind of stability that keeps you in the game long enough for compounding to start doing the work. Concretely, this means the first 40 to 50% of your portfolio belongs in something like SCHD, Schwab's U.S. Dividend Equity ETF. Not because it has the highest yield. It does not. The yield hovers around 3 to 4%. But because what is inside SCHD is a collection of companies that have been paying and growing their dividends through recessions, pandemics, rate cycles, and political transitions for decades. Johnson & Johnson, Home Depot, Lockheed Martin. Companies that do not care what the market did this week because their business model was built before you were born. When Carol puts $1,800 into SCHD, she is not chasing a number. She is buying a floor. A floor that says, this portion of my money will still be here, still paying me, regardless of what happens in the next 2 years. That psychological floor is worth more than an extra 2% yield that disappears the moment the company hits a bad quarter. Now, the second layer is where most people's eyes go first, and I understand why. This is the income layer, the part that actually pays you. And I want to be honest with you here, because I have seen a lot of people get this wrong in a very specific way. They go looking for the highest yield they can find on the first $5,000, as if maximizing income right now is the point. Let me show you why that thinking is a trap. If you have $3,000 in a dividend portfolio, and you find something paying an 8% yield, you are collecting $240 a year. That is $20 a month. I'm not saying $20 a month is nothing. I am saying that at $3,000, the yield percentage is almost irrelevant. What matters at that account size is not the income rate. It is the growth rate of the income. Because $240 today that grows 8% annually becomes something entirely different in 10 years. And $240 today that stays at $240 because the company cannot sustain the payout is not a yield. It is a slow leak. Kahneman and Tversky's work on how people evaluate gains and losses showed something important. We overweight immediate, visible rewards and systematically underweight future, compounding ones. In dividend investing, this bias shows up as chasing high current yields at the expense of yield growth. The person who buys a 7% yielder that cuts its dividend in year 3 feels smart for 2 years and frustrated for the next 10. The person who buys a 3.5% yielder, growing its dividend 10% annually, feels patient for 2 years and wealthy for the next 10. I know which one I would rather be. For the income layer of a sub-5,000 portfolio, I would be looking at something like JEPI for a portion of this layer. JP Morgan Equity Premium Income ETF. The yield is currently sitting around 7 to 8% depending on the month, and the structure is different from a traditional dividend ETF. JEPI generates income through a covered call strategy layered on top of a defensive equity portfolio. What that means practically: you get elevated monthly income, but you accept some cap on upside price appreciation. For a small account where income velocity matters more than capital gains, that is often a reasonable trade. But here is the thing I want you to sit with. A 7% yield on $1,500 is $105 a year, $8.75 a month. I am not saying this to discourage you. I am saying this because the people who build real dividend portfolios are not excited by what the portfolio pays them in year 1. They are excited by what the portfolio will pay them when the account is 10 times larger. And the discipline to reinvest every single one of those small payments back into the portfolio, month after month, when it feels like it does not matter, is the actual skill being built. Not the stock selection, not the ETF research. The discipline to reinvest $8.75 as if it is $875. That behavior, repeated consistently, is what separates the people who have dividend income in retirement from the people who have a brokerage account they stopped logging into. This is a good moment to pause, because I can already feel the objection forming for some of you. John, if the income is this small on a $5,000 account, what's the point of doing this now? Shouldn't I just wait until I have more money? I hear that. It is a fair question. And the honest answer is, waiting is not neutral. Every month you are not reinvesting dividends is a month the compounding clock is not running. And the compounding clock is ruthless in a specific way. The early years are the cheapest years to buy. The shares you buy today at today's price, reinvesting into today's yield, are the most valuable shares in your entire investing lifetime. Because they have the most time. Think about what Ronald Read did, a janitor from Vermont who died in 2014 and left behind $8 million. He did not inherit it. He did not have a high-paying job. He bought shares in companies like Johnson & Johnson and Procter & Gamble, and he let the dividends compound, quietly, for decades. The money he put in during his 20s and 30s was not impressive in dollar terms, but in time terms, it was the most valuable capital he ever deployed. What he understood, and what most people do not, is that the first $5,000 is not about the return on the $5,000. It is about the compounding of the behavior. Now let's talk about the third layer. This is the piece most people never add to a small account, and it is the piece that changes the character of everything else. I am going to call it the catalyst layer. And what I mean by that is a small allocation, 10 to 15% of the total portfolio, that sits in an asset with a different risk and return profile than your stability and income layers. For most people building a dividend portfolio under $5,000, this looks like a position in something like O Realty Income Corporation, REIT, monthly dividend, symbol O. The company has paid a monthly dividend for over 600 consecutive months. It raised that dividend 126 times since its 1994 New York Stock Exchange listing. That is not a marketing number. That is an operational identity. But here's what I want you to understand about adding a position like this at the $5,000 level. It is not about the income. It is about what it teaches you. When you hold a monthly dividend payer inside your account, you experience the compounding cycle faster. You see the reinvestment happen in real time. You feel the behavior loop close. And behavioral economists at the University of Chicago found that investors who experience positive feedback loops early in their investing journey are significantly more likely to maintain consistent contribution habits over a 5-year period. You are not just building a portfolio. You are conditioning your brain to expect the reward of consistent behavior. That conditioning is worth more than any allocation percentage. Now, I said at the beginning of this video that there was a missing piece to Carol's thinking, something that, if she does not account for it now, will cost her disproportionately when her account grows. This is the moment I have been building toward. Because everything I have shown you so far, SCHD, JEPI, O, the reinvestment discipline, the behavioral loop, is solid. But it all operates inside a container. And most people never think about the container until it is too late to change it. The container is your account structure. Here is what I mean. Carol has her $4,200 in a standard taxable brokerage account. Every dividend payment Carol receives? Taxable event. If Carol is in the 22% federal tax bracket and she is earning qualified dividends, she will likely pay 15% on those dividends at tax time. That does not sound catastrophic on $200 a year in dividends. But watch what happens at $20,000 or $80,000. The drag compounds the same way the portfolio compounds, except in the wrong direction. In 2026, the IRS rules around Roth IRA contributions allow anyone under the income threshold to contribute up to $7,000 annually into a Roth. Inside a Roth, dividends grow tax-free. Withdrawals in retirement, tax-free. The compounding of a dividend portfolio inside a Roth versus the same portfolio in a taxable account produces a difference over 30 years that is not marginal. It is categorical. I'm not saying Carol should close her taxable account. I'm saying that the most important structural decision she can make before her next transfer is to open a Roth IRA alongside it and allocate new contributions into the Roth while leaving the taxable account to compound undisturbed. That two-account architecture, one for flexibility, one for tax-protected compounding, is what the families who build real multi-generational wealth have been doing quietly for decades. It is not a secret. It is just never explained to the person at the front desk of the dental office in Columbus. Let me give you the full picture of what Carol's portfolio could look like with one more $200 transfer and a Roth IRA opened this week. Taxable account, $4,200, 40% in SCHD. That is approximately $1,680. 35% in JEPI. That is approximately $1,470. 15% in O. That is approximately $630. 10% sitting in cash, waiting for a pullback. That is $420. Roth IRA. New $200 contribution goes directly in. Entire $200 into SCHD. Why SCHD in the Roth? Because SCHD is your long-duration compound machine. The dividends you want compounding tax-free for the longest possible time are the ones with the highest dividend growth rate, not the highest current yield. Put the high-growth compounder in the tax-protected space. Put the higher yield income-generating positions in the taxable account if you want current access, or move them to the Roth as the account grows. That is the structural logic. It is not complicated, but it requires thinking one step further than most people are willing to think when they are staring at a $200 transfer on a Friday night. I want to say something before we close, and I want to say it directly. If you are sitting with a small account right now and you feel behind, you are not behind. You are experiencing the early phase of a system that was specifically designed to make you feel behind. The financial industry profits from your urgency, from your sense that you started too late, that the number is too small, that the yield is too low to matter. Every month you feel that way is a month you are more likely to make a rash decision, chase a higher yield, move into something speculative, or abandon the account entirely. That feeling is not a signal from reality. It is noise from a system that wants your panic more than your patience. Carol, sitting in her parking garage at lunch, checking an account nobody knows about, she is not behind. She is exactly where she needs to be. And so are you. The question is not whether you started on time. The question is what you do with the next $200, and the one after that, and the one after that. Let me leave you with a thought I want you to sit with. At the beginning of this video, I described Carol checking her account on her phone, angled so no one walking by could see the screen. That image of concealment? That is not shame. That is discretion. The people who build real financial resilience over decades rarely announce it. They do not post about it. They do not discuss it on Monday mornings. They just keep transferring. Keep reinvesting. Keep letting the machine run. The account nobody knows about is often the account that changes everything. Drop the word dividend in the comments right now. One word. No explanation needed. It tells me you understood something today that most people scroll past. And if this kind of thinking is useful to you, subscribe to the channel. Not because it helps my numbers, because every video I put out is built for the person who is doing this quietly, without applause, without a financial advisor on speed dial. You belong here. I will see you in the next one.